So the project for today is going to be some gas line upgrades, and what I've got right now is this is my liquid propane tank. I've got two-stage regulator going into a flexible line here that goes to this bulkhead pass through and then goes over to the cooktop, the oven, and the furnace. But I want to have a quick connect so that we can connect a barbecue to the propane. So I need to have a quick connect. I also need to run a line to the two-way refrigerator we just installed. So I've got a couple of things to do there. And what I've come up with is some additions here to this gas line. So basically I'm going to add this 3/4 inch extension basically to what I have now. On one of these I will tee off my existing line going to the range. On the other one I'll go from 3/8 down to 1/4 and put in my quick connect for the barbecue. So this is kind of a cool quick connect because it also has a shut-off ball valve built into it. So that'll be a nice way to basically shut this off when I'm not using the barbecue. And then, so if my furnace and oven are coming off this, then my line to the refrigerator will come off the end here. And I've got another flexible line that I'll connect to the end and go up through the top of the enclosure here. And I got a bulkhead fitting, so I'll use a hole saw and cut a hole in that fiberglass, and it comes out right behind the bench in the back that folds down into a bed. But this will pinch down on that fiberglass and give me fittings into the bottom of this from the flexible line here, and then I'll have a fitting out the top going into this soft copper line that will then run right up to the refrigerator. I've got all the parts, and I've got somebody experienced with gas work to help me, and so I think we're ready to get started. Okay, so we've got all of the gas lines installed and set up. So you can see a few changes here. So I've got now my 1/4 inch quick connect so that I can connect my barbecue gas line, which I've got sitting over here. And I've tested out that also as part of the project. And then this was the line that ran over to the stove and the furnace, and so we reconnected that, just routed it a little bit differently here, still going to the same place though. And then we ran a line up to the bulkhead that we drilled through. So I just used a hole saw basically to drill through the fiberglass there, put a rubber gasket and a little silicone on it to seal that up. But then this 90-degree fitting goes into the bottom of this bulkhead, which then basically has another fitting on the other side, which I'll go around and show. I did think that I was going to take this straight in the bottom, but as I was looking at how to route this hose, I didn't really like the way the hose was routed when I went straight up, and so I did a 90-degree up there. I wanted to have some flexibility in both of these just because of the rattling and movement and things of the motorhome. So this is what the new propane cubicle looks like. And when I do want to hook up my gas grill now, I can just leave the hatch open a little bit and run it straight into this, or I can run it up through one of the vent holes here and then latch this back down. So I think that will work out pretty well. You can still see a little bit of the leak checking material and things that we put on here. After putting together all the connections, We used a leak check on every connection to make sure that it was tight and that there was no gas leaks. We also did a pressure test. So it looks like everything should be in good shape. I'll show you what we did on the inside. Okay, now on the inside, this is the top of that fitting, and we don't have the cabinet behind the couch and bed back here, and so I can just get right down to see where that is. Again, a little bit of the leak check stuff there, a little silicone that I used to seal around the fitting, but we've checked all of the fittings here for leaks. All of this is good. We used a really it's a soft copper line, so that I had a straight copper line going all the way up to the refrigerator. I didn't really like the ideas of having a flexible hose or very many fittings or anything inside of the coach. So this straight run behind the water heater is all just a single piece of pipe. And so one of the fittings is right here, and then there's a fitting up at the back of the refrigerator also, which I will show you. And here we are at the back of the refrigerator. So we've got the fitting here for the gas going to the refrigerator. You can see the line has a few bends. It comes in, down behind the hot water heater from the other end. These bends help give just a little bit more flexibility to the line as it comes into the back of the refrigerator here. And so that's looking pretty good. We've done some leak testing here. We'll do some final testing and be pretty much done with this project. Okay, so here we are doing a leak down test. We've already gone through all of the connections, and for the leak down test, we chose the cooktop as a place to connect in because it's kind of the furthest point away from the propane tank. This line comes underneath and all the way over here. The line to the fridge is actually a bit shorter, and so we're connected in here to do the leak down test. We've already checked all the connections with a leak tester. So this is kind of like soapy water, but it's like a thicker solution for checking for leaks, so it sticks to the lines really well, and you see any bubbling if there's a significant type of leak. So I've already done that. Found a couple of connections and fittings that maybe were a little bit loose, and so tightened those up, made sure everything looked good. For the leak test, so we're showing about 12 inches of pressure, which is good. We're actually already about 7 or 8 minutes into the test. We're doing a 15-minute leak down test on this. A few things to keep in mind. So there's a couple of cutoffs here. This is the cutoff to the range itself. There's the cutoff for the pilot, and that's actually where we're connected in. You have to make sure that everything in the system is turned off, and so we've got all the burners turned off. One mistake that I made was this was turned off, but the pilot was still on. So you have to actually turn it a little bit more to the right to make sure that the pilot is off. So for the first several leak checks that we did, we were seeing the pressure drop down pretty quickly when we turned off the gas at the main tank, and until we discovered that. But this now is looking really good. So we've got now probably about 10 minutes into this 15-minute leak test, and we're still holding at 12 inches of pressure in the line, and the main propane tank has been turned off the whole time. So the whole system all the way here to the range, so including all of the new plumbing for the barbecue and the refrigerator and everything, are all pressurized. They all have propane in the lines, and it's holding pressure. So when we get to 15 minutes here, we will be pretty confident that we do not have any leaks. All right, so the gas lines are all installed and tested, and went through the pressure testing, and so the final thing is to make sure that the refrigerator works and the barbecue works. So hooked up the quick connect to the barbecue, and it came on, good flame, warmed up great. Also checked the refrigerator, so turned it on AC, and it was working normally. We unplugged it and it switched over to propane, Now, it didn't light immediately because there was air in the line. It hadn't bled out yet, but after going back on AC and then going back to propane, just on the second time it lit, and it's now been running on propane for a few hours, and it is cooling and looks good. So I think we're going to be able to use our new refrigerator and barbecue next time we go camping.